Welcome, everybody. This is International Master Joe Banawa at your service again. This is going to be the third part of our series on how to play good chess, especially talking about like the fundamentals of opening. We are learning fundamentals and strategy out of the openings that we are learning, which makes it a very practical and valuable video that will help you guys out win tournaments, maybe some friendly battles, or even if you guys are playing for some sort of, I don't know, small bets. Hopefully, our videos are going to aid you, especially in these tough times of COVID. I hope you guys are all doing well. Um, anyway, our topic today is going to be about peace activity, and it's going to be a continuation of the Italian game. Okay, so just like what we talked about in two previous videos, if you guys want to do well and you guys are just beginning how to play chess, or even let's say if you guys are just learning, you guys learn how to move the pieces but don't know what to do, thinking about learning new strategy and stuff. The most practical way to do it is to learn your openings while learning the pawn structures, where your pieces are going, what your plans are, tactics. But today we're going to be covering the continuation of our series so far. If you haven't seen the last two series, make sure that you guys watch it. Excuse me. All right. Okay, so I like the move e4 controls the center, as what you could see on our list below. There are four fundamentals of opening play. If you guys are beginning your opening play, you want to follow this four. Oh, Coach Joe, I don't know what I should do in this position. Look at those four before. Do I dominate the center? Do I rapidly develop my pieces towards the center? Do I put my king to safety? If you try to do something among this four or along this four, you're going to do just fine. But every step of the way, you have to understand step number four is very important. You have to understand what your opponent is intending to do. So we've been talking about the move e4, controlling the center, and at the same time, it allows it open up bishops. It opens up the queen. We don't really want to move the queen too early. e5, your opponent's battling for the center. Our next move is knight f3, developing against this while attacking this pawn on e5. We're doing two things. We're controlling the center. Knight c6. And now I like the move bishop c4, targeting the weakest spot in your opponent's position. And just like what I mentioned before, if your opponent plays knight f6, we're going to include it in our video, the move knight to g5. All right? aka the fried liver attack 2-knight system. You guys are going to have a lot of fun. Hopefully, as our series goes on and our videos goes on, we're going to be tackling all sorts of openings, and you guys are going to be able to learn strategies along with it at the same time that will allow you to apply this type of ideas in different positions. So what I want to tackle today is the move bishop c5 as a continuation of our first two videos. Now we play the move c3. And the best move for black here is knight f6. Every single move that both parties have played so far are controlling the center and also rapidly developing, following the fundamentals. But what I really like about the move c3 is that even though it's not developing rapidly, it goes with principle number one, which is to dominate the center. Now we want to play d4. We have three defenders versus three attackers. That means that if you guys have enough or the same amount of defender over the attackers, you should be able to do a pawn break. This is a pawn break. Gives you space, allows you to activate your position. These are the type of moves you want to make in the opening to the middle game transition. Okay, these are some game changers. Best move for black, e takes d4. If your opponent has the pawn duo, you should eliminate the pawn duo. C takes d4. Now white has this beautiful pawn duo. As what we saw in the first video, we saw that this pawn duo could majorly damage your opponent's position, push him back, paralyze his pieces, and having more space in a position, or a lot more space, a vast advantage in space, will allow you to attack your opponent freely and will give your pieces active squares. So the best move from black here is bishop b4 check. Oh, that is in the check. Oh, look at that purple thingy. Oh man, this is the first time I'm doing the analysis on this platform, and I gotta say this is enjoyable. So bishop b4 check. The move that we recommended was bishop d2 in the previous video. If you haven't seen it, guys, make sure to watch it. All right, so on our YouTube channel, it's on my Facebook page, and perhaps in the future, it's gonna be in the other or different platforms. Today, we're gonna talk about the main line. If black takes, bishop takes d2. In the previous example, we talked about what happens if they take this free pawn. But after bishop takes d2, knight takes d2, the best move for black now is to play pawn to d5. If your opponent has a pawn duo, make sure that you challenge it. You try to remove it. You try to destroy it because this pawn duo could really create some major damage. For example, if black castles here, we could do the unicorn now and dominate the center with the move e5. E5 powerful, pushing him back. And again, if he just cooperates, let's say he goes to knight g4, we can't play d5 yet. He's attacking this pawn twice, and by pushing the pawn to d5, it's gonna leave the pawn in d5 in pre. We just push this knight back, force him to the corner. This is not great. d5, and again, we got this position where black is really cramped. He can't get his pieces out, and we have a very nice position. We could castle here and start transferring the attack to the king side. And again, if you have more space, you have great squares for your pieces. On black's position, on the other hand, because he doesn't have a lot of space, he can't really bring his pieces to active squares where they're attacking something. So this is the importance of space, friends. Okay, make sure that if you guys are playing your game, you have the ability to dominate the center. Do it. Black should challenge the center now. After d5, we just simply chow on d5, giving us what you call the Isolani Pawn, or isolated d4 pawn. Not isolated pawns, not all isolated pawns are bad. Most of the time, just having a pawn alone where you don't have any adjacent pawns it's a bad thing because it's a weakness and your opponent can attack it effectively, but it's not bad all the time. Because what it does, having this pawn on d4 gives you a lot of space. Your opponent doesn't have any center pawn. And on top of that, we have these two open files for our rook. And on top of that, we have two beautiful squares for our knight on e5 and c5. This is the beauty of having isolated pawn. One of the best, or one of the most aggressive strategy that players do is to gain an Isolani so they can gain these benefits. Open c file, open e file, e5 and c5 squares. In this position, and let me repeat this, in this position, it is very important for white to play the move queen b3. You want to develop with a threat. It speeds up your development, it pressures your opponent. You're attacking d5, and also now there's a pin. If they move the knight carelessly, now bishop takes f7, you could just take that pawn on f7. And that's going to be a check. He loses the pawn, he loses the ability to castle. It's not looking good for black. The best move for black here is either knight a5 or knight e7. I think knight e7 is better if your opponent plays knight a5. What he's trying to do is he's trying to fork. He's trying to eliminate. He's trying to trade. When somebody's under attack, you want to trade. You want to trade off for their attacking piece. So after knight a5, our move is going to be queen a4 check, attacking this knight on a5, and also this king on e8. If he's not careful, if he just blocks with his bishop, that's a fork. Okay, friends, if you guys are studying your tactics, that's a fork. We can take this knight freely. Best move for black here is to move the knight back to c6. And after they move the knight back to c6, we have a corresponding move, powerful move, queen a3, which we will look at after we look at or examine the move of c6. If your opponent plays the move c6, we could take now on d5. Now, the black knight wanted to capture this bishop because now it's in the corner, it's almost trapped. So by taking the knight on d5, we are eliminating his ability to remove that bad piece, and the knight is stuck. It would be so lovely if we could play the move b4 right now, but if we play b4, this knight still has this escaping square because the pawn on b4 is blocking off the white's queen control on the c4 square. So if your opponent takes, however, we have this nice combination now, castling while threatening to play rook e1 check followed by rook e5, skewering this knight, forcing your opponent to castle to remove this tempo. Okay, and then we play rook c1, planning to play rook c5, forking, setting up the position, improving the rook while trying to create a threat with just b4, controlling the c4 square. He has to play move b6 to create an escaping route for the knight, and now we play b4, knight to b7, and we gain a pawn. A beautiful sequence, which allows us to do the following because of the isolated d4 pawn. We have these two beautiful c file and e file. The rooks belong in an open file, guys. So if you guys have rooks and you have a chance to put it in control an open file, do it. All right, moving back. If your opponent now plays knight a5, queen to a4 check, knight c6, the move that I'm going to recommend is the move queen a3. It looks like a move that your opponent can easily defend against by going for a queen trade. But what it does is that your opponent is unable to castle because the queen on a3 attacks the rook square. If the rook square is attacked by the queen, the king is not going to be able to castle because the way it really is that the king is moving twice. This is a special move, castling. And because you're attacking there, the f8 square, the king can't really step on f8. Therefore, it makes it ineligible for the king to castle. Here, the best move for black is queen e7 check. No need to worry, because after we take, now he has to be careful. He can't take with the king because this knight on d5 is going to be left and free. This knight has to capture to maintain control of the center. And after we castle, we have a very good position. And again, we have these two beautiful files for our rook. And our knights can hit to b3 to c5, and this other knight can go to e5, giving us a tremendous amount of activity. And when you guys have an activity or active position, you could apply pressure, you could attack your opponent's position, you could set up tactics. That is a beautiful start for white. So again, when you guys get to this position, let me repeat, the move is queen b3, pressuring d5, everything starts here. Your opponent's forced to play knight e7, really. And after knight e7, you simply castle with the idea of attacking the king in the middle of the board. They should castle. And then we play rook e1. If you guys are going to look at this position carefully, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces already developed. And he has only... Okay, he also has 4. But he has trouble developing the other pieces. At the moment, the bishop on c8 can't move this because this pawn on b7 is under attack. We have tremendous pressure. This queen on b3 is optimal on this square. Pressuring b7, stopping the bishop from developing, pressuring d5. And in the next few moves, we could play rook c1. We could bring the knight to c5. We can bring the other knight to e5. Let's say, for example, if your opponent plays rook b8, now we can bring the other rook to c1. We just have so much pressure in this position. And if your opponent makes a misstep, they could easily be punished. So let's say they try to develop this bishop to e6. We have knight g5 ideas, or we can bring the knight to e4. We really want to be able to bring the knight to c5. This is a great position for white, guys. And we could easily see, and we could easily claim that white has a pretty good advantage in pressure. The knight, if they play b6, stopping knight c5, knight e5, exploiting this whole one c6. So guys, this is the third part of our series. If you haven't seen the first two, you guys are gonna love it. This will help you with your understanding of your chess games. Will teach you some strategies that you can apply in your games, and it will be a practical material that will allow you to get results in your games right away. So please, if you like this material, make sure to subscribe, to follow me on Facebook. And also, if you guys have any questions, please type it on the post below. Okay, friends? Hopefully you guys if you guys learned a lot from that video, and wait for the next part of our series, number 4. Guys, we're gonna keep going. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later.